Chelsea cannot finish off a Wrexham in 90 minutes. Disgrace, absolute disgrace. The FA Cup has this nasty little habit. Every year, it reminds the big clubs that money, reputation, and Premier League badges mean absolutely nothing once the whistle blows. And on this night, when Chelsea F.C. walked into the stadium to face Wrexham A.F.C., most people expected a comfortable evening, a quick professional job, maybe 2 or 3 goals, handshake, next round. But the FA Cup looked at Chelsea and basically said, not tonight. Because from the first whistle, something felt wrong. Wrexham didn't play like a team that was supposed to lose. They played like a team that smelled blood. And when Sam Smith smashed the ball into the net to make it 1-0 for Wrexham, the entire stadium exploded. And suddenly, every Chelsea fan watching felt the same cold thought creep into their mind. Wait, this might actually happen. Now here's the part that made it even worse. Chelsea didn't respond like a giant. They responded like a team that had just woken up from a nap. Loose passes, lazy defending, players walking around like they were still trying to figure out where they parked the bus. And I'm going to say something that some Chelsea fans might not like. A few of those players should not even be thinking about a starting spot right now. If you're wearing a Chelsea shirt and struggling this much against a lower division side, something is seriously wrong. But then came one of those bizarre football moments. Chelsea's equalizer didn't come from brilliance. It came from pure chaos. The ball bounced awkwardly, hit Wrexham's goalkeeper Arthur Okonkwo, and rolled into the net, an own goal. Chelsea fans celebrated. But let's be honest, that goal felt less like dominance and more like pure luck. And Wrexham, they didn't care. They kept attacking. They kept running. They kept fighting like every tackle was the most important moment of their careers. And then it happened again. Wrexham took the lead. Again. At that point, I could almost hear Chelsea fans shouting at their screens. How is this even happening? Because this wasn't supposed to be a contest. This was supposed to be a warm-up. Instead, it turned into a nightmare. Now, credit where credit is due. Some Chelsea players finally realized what was happening. Josh Achimpong stepped up and delivered a huge equalizer to drag Chelsea back to 2-2. And that goal didn't just level the score, it saved Chelsea from total embarrassment. But even then, the game still felt dangerously balanced. Because Wrexham were fearless. They were pressing, running, throwing themselves into every challenge. And for long stretches, they honestly looked like the hungrier team. That's when the match took another dramatic twist. George Dobson of Wrexham received a red card after a late challenge. Suddenly, the underdogs were down to 10 men. And that moment felt like the turning point, because once extra time arrived, Chelsea finally started showing the difference in quality. Then came the moment of calm in the chaos. Alejandro Garnacho picked up the ball, steadied himself, and smashed a beautiful volley into the net. Chelsea 3, Wrexham 2. Finally, the Giant was standing again, and you could feel the relief pouring through every Chelsea fan. But the drama wasn't finished yet. Because Wrexham thought they had done it again. They scored. The stadium erupted. Players ran in celebration. For a brief moment, it looked like the fairy tale was still alive. Then VAR stepped in. Offside. Goal disallowed. And you could almost feel the heartbreak travel through the stadium like a wave. That was the moment the dream died. Because just minutes later, João Pedro finished the job and sealed a 4-2 win for Chelsea. Game over. Chelsea advance. But let's be brutally honest here. Yes, Chelsea won. Yes, they're through to the next round, but this performance raised serious questions. Because a club of Chelsea's size should not be pushed this far by a lower division team. Some players looked sharp. Garnacho stepped up when it mattered. João Pedro delivered again. Achimpong showed real character. Those players deserve praise, but others? Let's just say if this level of performance continues, they might want to get very comfortable sitting on the bench. Because nights like this expose everything. Still, one thing must be said. Massive respect to Wrexham. They played without fear. They led twice. they pushed a Premier League giant to the absolute limit. And for long stretches of this game, they made Chelsea look very uncomfortable. That's the magic of the FA Cup. It's the one competition where giants can stumble and underdogs can look them straight in the eye. On this night, Chelsea survived. But Wrexham, they walked off that pitch with their heads high. Because for 90 minutes, they made one of England's biggest clubs sweat. And trust me, Chelsea fans will not forget that feeling anytime soon.